Hello allemaal, hello everybody, welcome back to Mona Cottage Books, and today we are exploring bookshops in The Hague, mostly English bookshops, but there will be some other ones in there too. Let's start with the American Book Center, and I will put all of the addresses in the description, so you can get them there. This is the American Book Center in The Hague. There is also one in Amsterdam, which is a bit bigger, but this one is the one we got in The Hague. So orange. This is an orange display because King's Day on April 27th is the celebration of the king. And he is from the House of Orange, so that is why orange becomes the color of late April. You will see it everywhere, and you will see flags if you come in late April. Here we've got the kids section, and then we go over to the staff picks. Now, I always like looking at staff choices, staff picks, because you never know what you're going to find, and it's nice when they give little descriptions. So just picking up a book that you don't know anything about, but getting some descriptions is always nice. Now, this is the Holland section. I have a slight gripe with this because it also encompasses other things in the Netherlands. Holland, if you don't already know, is just north and south provinces of Holland. And there's actually 12 provinces total, so there's 10 other provinces that are not Holland. The whole country is called the Netherlands. As you can see, a wide variety: general fiction, history, military. And then once you get all the way to the back, then it opens up to this area, a much bigger space. But in the beginning, it's quite narrow. We've got our sci-fi and I think mostly nonfiction back here, it looks like. Yeah. So then I went upstairs and explored that area. I think up there, it's mostly used books. I didn't check like every single book to see if it was used, but there's some nonfiction and then there's some used stuff up here. But the vast majority of the books are downstairs on the first floor. Lots of nice new books to check out. So if you want a book, American Book Center. Next up, just a few doors down, seriously, like you could throw a stone there from the American Book Center, is Mayflower Bookshop. Now, Mayflower also has shops in Leiden. They have a Dutch bookshop and an English bookshop right next to it. So that's really cute. If you're in Leiden, you can check that out. So here, again, you've got that kind of, it's narrow, but it goes a long ways back. And I like their good selection of classics over to the right here and some really pretty ones. Classics are always great, especially if you want to give a gift, and you can give them one of these really pretty ones. Even if they don't read it, it looks really nice on the bookshelf so they can display it. But yeah, just check those out. And if you didn't know, the Mayflower, the name references the Mayflower, the ship that sailed. I don't know if it actually sailed from the Netherlands itself or if it sailed from the UK, but for a while, the Pilgrims that eventually migrated to the United States, they lived in the Netherlands for quite a few years. So I think that they left the UK, came to the Netherlands, thought that it would be a better home for themselves, and then they decided that it wasn't, and they went to the New World. So Mayflower, that's where that name comes from. Here we're at the back of the store with some nonfiction. Caesar's Way if you need to train your dog. And then the things in the Netherlands sometimes are just a bit quirky, so you can just see that there's a random sink. And then I'll go over here and I'll turn around and you'll get to see the long, thin bookshop. After that, a few more steps down the street, we're going to go to Paagman. So this is actually a Dutch bookstore, but they do have an English section. So you can also shop in here. And you can see it is 2 stories. It's beautiful. It's a really nice place to shop. It's got a good vibe in there. But I don't know if this is when it was built, because I like the architecture. So if you will notice that a lot of books are actually in English, especially if they're like TikTok or this, check out the latest and greatest or whatever. 90% of Dutch people speak English, read English because it is taught in schools as a second language to a high level. And so when new books come out and they're hot on like TikTok and stuff, or people hype them up on the internet, if they don't get translated quick enough, the Dutch people will just go and buy them in English. So that's why you see a lot of English books, especially like at the front of stores, is because they're like Fourth Wing. I don't know if it's been translated into Dutch yet, but people will just read it in English. We've got some travel, we got some notebooks. It's also interesting if you go into bookstores in other countries and kind of see what is cool there. I like to do that. Here is the English section. I don't know if these are all used, but a good chunk of them were. And then we've got some historic books, some really old ones in this display cabinet that looks pretty cool. And as an archaeologist, I enjoy that. Nice view. I thought I got pictures of the little cafe that is upstairs, but apparently I didn't. And then I just walked down to the food and drink section. And then I think that they've done a nice with the decor. So again, here's another English section of books, even though it's not in the English area. Kinderen are kids, and peuter and kleuters are like kids, toddlers and young kids. Really nice display sections with great. I just love kids books because they're really bright and colorful and fun. And sometimes adult books are just not fun. So if you're curious about what Dutch kids read, it's picture books. A lot of English literature is translated into Dutch. You'll find like the Gruffalo and all of those. But then they also have their own authors and illustrators that have books that are just in Dutch. So maybe if you're interested, you could pick up some of those. That's the magazine rack. I think it's a very fancy magazine rack. And then we've got a little gift display. I have not seen a lot of gifts in Dutch bookstores. In the US, there's generally some kinds of gifts in bookstores, but in the Netherlands, I haven't seen a ton of that. This building is literally across the street. My back is to the bookstore right now, and this building, I don't actually know what it is. If you know what it is, put in the comments below, because I didn't look it up. Now we are going to head to the Passage, which is, I believe, a Victorian era shopping arcade. And you can see that it's really fancy. It's really nice. Really great architecture, and it is covered, which in the Netherlands, it rains a lot. So having a covered shopping area is super nice. It is a little upscale. There's like the Apple store in there and stuff. But there's also 2 bookstores that we'll be checking out. So one of them is the English Bookshop. Now it is a little on the small side. It's the smallest bookstore that we're going to go to on this tour. And it was actually even smaller. I believe the last time I was there, it was like half the size. But now it's expanded, and I think that that's a testament to how much people in the Netherlands are starting to read in English. But it's still this cute little bookstore with chandeliers, which really ties in with the fanciness of the arcade and the general vibe of the shopping area. But a nice curated little bookshop in there for you to check out. It is a subsidiary of Vries van Stockum, which we will check out the next section, or the next bookshop just up the way is Vries van Stockum. That is a Dutch language bookshop. They have one in Haarlem, but this one is in The Hague, obviously. And even if you don't read in Dutch, you can still go in here and peruse around and maybe grab a pen or a postcard or something, because it is just a really nice shopping experience. I think one of the things that I appreciate about this particular shop is that it isn't packed. There is lots of room to like wander around and breathe. Of course, it's also nice to go into some of those other shops and you're just inundated with books. That's also cool. But having this kind of a little less is almost more in some ways. And I like this little bookshelf in the wall. Now upstairs, I guess I'm part cat. I really like these this open area, and so you can look down. You know, just like cats like to be up high and they like to look down on things. I always think that this is really fun when you can see down to the floor below. But that's just a personal thing. And it's, you know, probably just because the buildings are old and in interesting style. And I do like the windows. I always like being on second floor windows, and you can look down onto the passageway below. And that is De Vries van Stockum. Just down the street is this interesting building. I wanted to show you a little bit of the architecture of The Hague. Since it is so old and things have been built continuously, there is such a wide variety of buildings and stuff. This street, I believe off the top of my head, it's Noordeinde, but I'll put it in the description. You can see to the right that it says Rolex, and this street was fancy. It's a very fancy shopping district. probably because it's right next to a palace. I didn't realize there was a palace there. This is apparently the king's offices. I don't know if he still uses them as an office, but at one point they were the king's office. And I was just not expecting. You just don't know what you're going to find in The Hague. You're going to walk down a street and there's going to be a palace or a cute little bookshop. So this is another bookhandel. As it says, since 1921, it has been there. And you can see it's a really cute shop, but I would say it's mostly a cafe. It does have books. They do sell books and postcards and stuff, but it is really just a really cute cafe. And on this day, it was super packed. It was a windy Sunday. Sorry about my finger. It was a windy Sunday, and the place was actually absolutely packed. I could barely browse books. I could barely get in to take video of anything. But if you see on Instagram the really cute bookshop cafe in The Hague, this is the one. And they've got more seating towards the back that I didn't get to, and then even an outdoor little garden. So if you've got some time and you want to have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and browse some books, then this is a great little shop. Across the street from that is Stanza Bookshop. It was closed the day I was there, but this is an international bookshop. It says law books too, so if that's of interest to you. And then right next door, or really close, was another bookshop, but it was also not open. So thanks for watching. That is Bookstores of The Hague. I hope that piqued your interest to do a little book shopping in the capital of the Netherlands. Like and subscribe for more bookish content.